Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or good day wherever you are in the world, and welcome to No Dice, No Glory, Episode 1. That's right, today dawns a new era in hackneyed wargaming coverage as we're proud to be the incredibly not live and coming to you from the No Dice, No Glory Arms Factory hidden deep under the mountains somewhere in West Virginia. I'm Sean, Throckmorton Sarah, and I'm proud to be your Sherpa up the mountain of spent shells that is the vast landscape of wargaming. Today's podcast is sponsored by this beer I'm drinking right now, and with me today is your No Dice, No Glory podcasting crew, Tom, Captain Echo, though we're looking for a better nickname, Mullane, say hi.
Hello.
Iron Tom Burgess.
Howdy, folks.
Hey, hey. And of course, Mitch, the meta, Reed. Welcome, guys.
Hey, I like that. That was good. I'm excited.
I literally just wrote it. In fact, I had no idea all of this existed until just today, so I'm the perfect guy to be asking y'all questions. So welcome to No Dice, No Glory. So why don't you all, maybe Tom, because we're going to have you talk a little bit about yourself first, why don't you tell us about No Dice, No Glory, introduce yourself, and tell us about your gaming background. Mr. Captain Echo, though we're looking for a better nickname.
So yeah, the rule with a nickname is somebody else is supposed to give it to you. And people don't give me nicknames. I guess I'm just boring, whether it's falling into a chair.
How about Chair?
Yeah.
Chair? It's just Chair.
Tom Chair Mullane.
Tom Chair Mullane. I like that.
That was clearly the highlight of the Team Yankee National Tournament for you guys, was watching me try to get a shot from a folding chair and almost break my own leg falling into it.
Yeah.
It was like the chair swallowed him whole.
You can be off the top.
We've got a term in the Army, Chairborne. I think I've seen that handle out there somewhere else, but that's not
Chairborne.
Yeah, Chairborne.
I think we have a winner.
I think we have a winner. It's now going to be Tom Chairborne Mullane.
Chairborne Mullane.
In honor of his amazing spill at Team Yankee Nationals 2017. So, Tom, tell us about yourself, and actually tell us a little about No Dice, No Glory while you're at it.
So, No Dice, No Glory is a brand new site that's going to try to pick up where WWP left off. Iron Tom Burgess is going to talk a little bit more about that. I'm lining up the content. I've talked to a lot of authors, writers, contributors, people we're going to hopefully bring on the podcast at some point, and people whose articles and content you're going to get to read. Painted miniatures you see, after action reports, and most importantly, the previews of all the books that we're so eager to see. I am a high school history teacher from New York, and I mostly deal with tournaments and folks that are in the Hudson Valley, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont. So I'm a New Englander. And as you're going to hear from some of the other guys, we're pretty well represented geographically. We're kind of all over the place. So our arms bunker, as Sean said, is constantly moving.
It's distributed arms manufacturing, one might say.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you actually did a ton of writing for WWPD that was. So why don't you, what did you write for them? What would people know you for from over there?
I'm trying to think of which ones people have seen the most stuff on, if I look at the hits. So they picked me up. I talked to Luke maybe 3 years ago. I'm fuzzy on time because I count my time in school years as opposed to actual years. It's the life I've chosen.
It makes you live longer.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. I was really excited. I was honored that they let me write content for them, and it was really a lot of fun sharing the stuff that I got to do on that forum. So I did a lot of after action reports. I traveled to a lot of tournaments. I finally won one after 5 years. That was exciting. I've done some tutorials on terrain boards. So the most recent one I wrote is on how to build an urban terrain board, where I basically destroyed my room by pouring, kitty litter, sand, and seashells all over the place.
I remember that. That was a great article.
I remember it.
Well, thank you. And right now I'm working on the rest of those British Airborne guys. So I have all the urban dudes. I probably have around 600 infantry stands that I'm still in the process of painting.
Awesome.
And I will probably never be done. But no, the articles I wrote for them were a blast. I really had fun interacting with everybody on that site, and I'm really excited to carry on that kind of energy and excitement to the new site.
Awesome. One last question before we go to Iron Tom. Give us a little bit of your gaming background. What do you play? Obviously Team Yankee, obviously Flames of War, but what else do you like?
So, I'm obviously big on those two. I've been starting to get into bolt action because the guys on the bolt action part of the WWPD site are so excited about it that it kind of got me to a point where I had to try it out. So I have a bunch of Americans I'm painting up. I'm interested I do D&D stuff. I'm a competitive raider in World of Warcraft. And
awesome.
What else do I do? That's really it. Those are my primary interests.
I can tell you from personal experience, both raiding and D&D are time intensive, so that's 3 pretty heavy interests. Yeah.
Raid
awesome,
nights are tough.
Next up, we have Iron Tom Burgess. Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Hey, great, guys. How you doing?
Good, man. So welcome to No Dice, No Gaming, Mr. Podcaster. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself. And if you want to share anything, and we're going to dig into this a lot more in a second, but if you have any top-level thoughts on No Dice, No Glory, feel free to share them.
Sure. Well, I live in Kentucky, retired from the Army, but still work for the Army now as a civilian, no longer on active duty, and longtime war gamer. Probably, maybe Mitch can give me a run for my money, but probably the oldest guy right now involved with this effort. And so I go back to board gaming in the 70s, some squad leader, and then moving on to miniatures later on, and started playing Flames of War in 2007. And so that kind of brought me into this bigger community, which was just amazing to be a part of. I started working with WWPD initially as an editor, a moderator on the forums. And then I started writing a few articles to kick in, and then I started writing a lot of articles, and then I started running campaigns. So had a lot of interest there, a lot of effort, and I always felt like I was doing something worthwhile, something noteworthy. And that's why I want to be part of this effort to help perpetuate that, support the community out there, not just for Flames of War, Team Yankee, other games as well too, but those are my 2 main focus areas for gaming.
Awesome. So Tom, one question before we go on to Mr. Meta himself. Other than Team Yankee and Flames of War, what else do you play?
Well, like Tom Mullane there, Chairborne, starting to dabble a little bit in bolt action. It's good systems, got some good mechanics. I don't want it to be totally redundant with what I'm already doing in Flames of War, so I'm probably going to get more to the Conflict 47, the science fiction edge of that.
Awesome.
Also started playing some Test of Honor recently. Really enjoy that for very quick games.
I want to ask you questions about that later.
Please. Oh, yeah, and also I'm an old-time Napoleonics guy. I know Mitch will talk about this later on, but mostly 15-millimeter Napoleonics, but starting to look at some other scales like black powder, 28-millimeter, some other things too. But so long-time miniature gamer, kind of come and gone with a lot of systems, but I think most of my time and effort for the last decade has been Flames of War and more recently Team Yankee.
Awesome. And then next up is everyone knows him from podcasts of yore, both with myself and on the road and in the WWPD that was Mitch, the Meta Reed. How you doing, man?
I'm just here so I don't get fined, bro.
You're just here so you don't get fined, bro? What does that mean?
It's Marshawn Lynch, but anyway. Hey, I'm happy. First of all, it's I'm alive. No, I mean, I enjoyed doing the podcast, doing the writing. My best gaming experience still is that chair that swallowed Tom Mullane whole.
Tom Chairborne Mullane.
John Chairborne Mullane. But, you know, when we were told that WPD shutting down to get together with these 2 guys, who I think are the 2 of the best writers on the site, and then throwing in and we'll talk about our staff in a little bit. I just think it's exciting. I think that we're going to press and do a lot of things, and hopefully, you know, advance the blogosphere, podcastosphere a little bit more until, you know, we grow tired of it, or due to old age we die. But yeah, I think it's exciting, and I'm glad that we're doing this. You know, as far as my background, I'm Polish.
Sure.
So I probably will forget most of what I've done in the past.
You know, forgetting things is actually a sign of intelligence. So
really?
I'm surprised that you don't remember everything.
Well, then I'm an effing genius. So, but it's, you know, to work with these guys, it's kind of awesome. And, I would love to talk about some of our contributors.
For sure. We're actually going to get to that in the Why We're Here section, which is next, actually. Should I introduce myself? We didn't really go over that in the show notes.
Please.
Okay. Hey, Sean Throckmorton Sarah here. You guys know me from the On the Road podcast. I occasionally sat in on the WWPD Why We Fight podcasts. I was editor at WWPD for about a year. And have been playing miniatures since the mid-'80s with Warhammer Rogue Trader, and got into Flames of War at the very start of 3rd edition, and then kind of jumped on the Team Yankee boat. I love most historical miniatures, mostly because they're pretty, and I like pretty things, and I like painting pretty things, which is the thing you'll probably see most of my articles on from the old WWPD. I think the most popular one on there still is the Cromwell article I did is like my first or second article. But what else do I play? I play a lot of D&D. Love D&D. I've been playing role-playing games in one game way or another since I was a kid. I love historical strategy war games on computer. In fact, on my background right now, I have a paused Hearts of Iron 4 because I love that game. And yeah, I play all sorts of miniatures games, card games every once in a while, bring me out, and role-playing games. And I am just happy to be here talking with you guys today. So let's dig right in. This is a new podcast on a new website with a new crew of guys who are covering wargaming in all of its multifarious, or at least historical wargaming in all of its multifarious facets. So, Iron Tom, why are we here?
Yeah, well, the initial purpose was to carry on the torch. We were all very supportive of WWPD, and we all enjoyed being part of that enterprise, but we just didn't want to see it stop. And so we moved forward. So we got a great team put together, and we want to focus on multiple areas. I think primarily we're first and foremost historical gamers, but we're not exclusive to that. I already talked a couple of science fiction spin-off games that I'm kind of into, and you've already mentioned D&D and so on. So we're not going to limit ourselves, but we'll tend to go with what's new, what's hot, what we're interested in, and what we're playing, and try to make sure that we bring enthusiasm to everything that we do here in this podcast.
So really, we're drawing across kind of that love of historical wargaming that WWPD created, right? And hoping to keep that community alive, but in a new space with some new voices.
Yeah, and WWPD expanded. They added subforums for Star Wars Armada. Other game systems. They had the Saga spinoff site for a while. They had the Bolt Action Radio as a sub component. So likewise, we'll probably move around a lot. But I think it's important just to acknowledge that it was basically Flames of War, and then evolving into Team Yankee, that the reason all four of us are here now, and probably why the majority of our audience is listening. But we certainly want to go above and beyond that, and provide new outlets and new looks at new materials for our folks.
For sure.
I just want to say that I think to build off of something that a bunch of you guys have said, like when I started this game, in 2011, I always assumed that there was very few people, playing it. And while it's still a niche hobby, if it weren't for WWPD and Steve and John and Luke and their podcast, I never would have had any idea that a broader community of people was out there like the three guys that I'm talking to today. Right. So, a big thank you to those guys. And because they really provided a forum that I got to see all this cool stuff that people were up to, and it just really inspired me to do stuff of my own. So I'm happy to carry this on in a small way. And I'm really happy to introduce some of the cool people we got working with us.
For sure. And let's take a minute to talk about WWPD. And we'll just go real quick, because they've been such an influence on, I think, a lot of us, right, Chairborne? I just love calling you that. I can't help it. I just keep wanting to say it. They were around for nearly a decade, at least in 2nd edition, and they created a lot of the community, especially on the East Coast. I mean, where do you, and this is open to anybody, how did they impact your gaming, and what do you think was so great about them that you want to try and replicate here? Or how do you want to carry on as maybe not a spiritual successor, but you look at what they did and it was incredibly successful for a long time. So there's a lot to look at and emulate there. What do you want to bring in that you thought was successful?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, certainly the support. One of the things I want to continue doing is the online campaigns. And it was a little bit difficult to do that from a distance because then I had to get subforums set up and it wasn't as tied in with the WWPD framework. So now I'll be able to do that more efficiently and more effectively, and hopefully can provide that for our audience out there. Some well-managed Firestorm type campaigns, some orders of battle driven campaigns, something we haven't seen that will, your old squad leader fans will really love. We'll generate the battles, put them out there, let people fight them, and they won't be your typical 1,500 points versus 1,500 points. So things like that gives a lot of opportunity to take something from WWP and move it forward.
Tom, are you the guy who did the Bulge one?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Jesus, I had not made that connection until now about how that was awesome. I mean, the maps and stuff you provided. Yeah. I was playing right after school with students. And I got 6 or 7 kids into it where we had the whole terrain stuff. You took the pictures. Yeah, that was a blast.
You guys did a great job. I remember your battle reports. It was amazing to me how well people followed the instructions and how well I thought, hey, here's some suggestions, and people really, really narrowed in to the actual scenarios, the actual table setups, and really, really try to live up to it. And that was inspiring.
Awesome. Sweet. We can't.
I got a question though about that Bulge campaign. Who was the winning general again?
Might have been another thing we brought with us from WWPD.
Mitch's enormous ego.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Speaking of Mitch, you've been chomping at the bit to tell us who all the amazing people are who are contributing to the new No Dice, No Glory website, which you can find at, what's the website, guys?
NoDiceNoGlory.com.
That's right. No Dice, no glory, all spelled out, .com. So, Mitch, why don't you tell us who a bunch of the new people are who you've brought on board, and some of them you've probably heard of before.
I would say you've heard of all of these folks. It's like the usual suspects from WWPD. From LA, our West Coast studio, we have Troy A. Hill, who's written a ton of stuff about Battleground and heavily involved with the Plastic Soldier Company people. He's going to be doing a lot of editing. Love the guy. And then 2 guys that Sean and I really love, and Matt Mullane, is Dennis, a.k.a. Matt Varnish, and Matt, what's Matt's name?
McKenzie.
Matt McKenzie.
He's Canadian. Of course his
but
last
it's funny,
name is McKenzie.
Because it's Campbell and McKenzie.
Right? It doesn't get more Canadian than that.
And love those guys.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Ed Sales, new writer, but he's heavily into the tournament scene and just played in Masters. Dane Tax from South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be the southern voice of WWPD. We got Glenn Goddard.
General
Glenn, who's going to be doing some writing for us. Recently, we got Throck Morton, Sean Sarah.
Who's that guy?
Yeah. But from talking to people and saying, hey, we're taking the model that got us this far, and we're going to be expanding it a little bit and trying new and different things, and hopefully people will enjoy that. So I think the strength right off the bat are these great contributors we have. And I can tell you, and I can tell our audience, hey, we're going to be, within a few days, we're going to be talking about Avanti.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a guy that is so into Avanti and the Italians. He's painting stuff up. And on the 12th, you'll be seeing a ton of stuff for us from
We're going to have some fully painted Avanti, right, on the 12th?
I think he will, because he's been going nonstop. And guys, we've had the
for
book
context.
Now for a couple of
actually,
days.
let's do a best practice for all podcasts for all time. As I am moderating, I'm setting down a ground rule, which is whenever we name a book for a game, we say what system that game is from and what it means, right?
Flames. Oh, it's the new Flames of War book that highlights the Italians.
Yes, it's the new Mid-War Flames of War book that highlights the Italian army, Avanti, which comes from Avanti Savoia, which was technically their battle cry or something. Who knows? But yeah, sweet.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff, a lot of, I guess we're going to get to the next section where we're going to talk about how things are different.
Yeah.
I think
So-
we're all going to do Scottish accents for an entire show.
We should. I will teach you if you don't know how. I have a crappy Scottish accent. I will teach you how to have a crappy Scottish accent. Stuff cotton in your mouth and speak with the back of your tongue, and you're done. That's it. Good to go. And now you know. All right. So it sounds like there's an amazing crew. And one of the great things, and I think this is actually a good segue into kind of how you guys want to build No Dice, No Glory, right, is that this is going to be a little bit more crowdsourced, right?
Yes.
This isn't going to just be 3 or 4 guys kind of doing a thing, and it's going to be those 3 or 4 guys. As great as that was for them, you are much more focused on kind of throwing this open to the world. Not the whole world, but like throwing this open and giving people a shot to create content. Right, Tom? Iron Tom. Or no,
Sure.
wait. This is Chairborne, I think. In my show notes, it says I should ask Chairborne this question.
Chairborne.
Yeah.
This
Right?
is Chairborne's question.
Yeah.
So so even just the 3 of us, and Sean, you're in Philadelphia, I think,
I'm in
right now,
I am
lives,
secreted
I
away
was
in an arms factory under a mountain in West Virginia.
He lives
There you
near,
go. All right.
near me. Yeah.
So we have people in the Mid-Atlantic. We
Yeah.
have people in Kentucky. I'm up in the Northeast, and we have writers from the South and Canada. So
Yeah.
we've got a pretty
LA.
broad
LA.
geographic spectrum of people. I think we're still looking for more writers, and I'm sure we're going to get a trickle more and more as we go. But the thing that inspires me is always seeing what other people are up to. And one of the best things I got to see on WWPD's forums and, on a lot of the Facebook groups is like every time I'm not motivated to paint, I look at some of the stuff that people are putting together and I just say to myself, oh, well, this is awesome. I don't profess to be the most gifted artist in the world, but I get better every time I get to see somebody else's stuff. So I think, there is definitely a crowdsourcing aspect to this where we're happy to take contributions from pretty much anywhere around the world that we can get it. We're happy to hear from you. So if you check out our site, nodicenoGlory.com spelled out, you will see contact information for us. And if you send me a note, I'm going to get back to you probably within 24 hours because I have it on my phone and I have a problem. So I'm usually pretty quick at responding to people.
And that's right. And like Iron Tom said earlier on, we may bring different people onto the podcast and have it be a little bit more open, where if somebody has an interest and they're kind of like a gamer subject matter expert or something like that, right? We'd bring them on as well. Iron Tom, did you want to say a little bit more about that?
No, I think that covers it pretty explicitly. There's a lot of great folks out there have a lot of great things to say, and the more we can tap into that, the better off we'll all be.
Awesome. Mitch, tell us about the podcast. Tell us about this thing we're doing right now. We are filling a gap, right, that we feel is kind of left behind now that WWPD is shutting down. But what does that mean to you? And how do you want this to be different? How do you want this to be the same?
A lot of people like the podcast. Everybody wants to do them. There are a lot of
paint to them.
There are a lot of work. But it's fun, and I think like from our interactions and talking about the games we like, the games we love, and why you should be playing them, I think that's really what spurs the listeners, and that's really what kind of motivates some of the community. But with WWPD, you had a set guys that did it, and with busy schedules. But with us, we're going to do multiple casts you'll hear different guys in some of the podcasts. I would love to get a Canadian report, not a weather report, but a Canadian, and have those guys sit down and talk about what they're up to, some of the things they're seeing. Maybe get Troy out in LA to talk about it. Iron Tom is going to be doing a ton of stuff with Able Company. It's great is that we're going to share the load. And just like with writing and content, if you have a niche that you want, hey, this would make a great podcast, give us a call. Well, send us an email.
Sure.
And I think you're going to hear a lot of different voices. And with those voices, you're going to hear a lot of different opinions. In the past, it was kind of a lot of it was groupthink. But here with us, I think you're going to get totally different interviews. Like why I've never played Bolt Action. But I'm going to ask Tom Mullane why I should be excited about it. And then talk about if I ever play. But I would love to hear 2 guys talking about a game that they're really excited about. And I think that's what's going to be different. You're going to hear a lot more voices. You're going to read a lot of different points of view. And I think we're going to cover more just by doing that, by being extremely inclusive with that. And I think that's going to be different. I think podcasts, like you're right, those are great to listen to when you paint. But, you know, we're going to maybe in a little while experiment with video. I think we signed a thing with Vivid, but I'm not sure how that's working out. But I really think that you're going to get more voices in. And, you know, there was a word I was looking for, but when you said crowdsource, I think that really kind of fits it. I think we're going to get a lot of that stuff. Because, you know, I wrote so much stuff for the Team Yankee, and it was great doing stripes in WWPD with Tom and Tom providing different articles with different points of view. So you don't get like, hey, you know, it's not an echo chamber. So I'm really excited about that. And I think you guys will too, that, you know, you don't have to listen to our stupid ass voices all the time, that you're going to hear different people.
Especially Mitch's.
Yeah, especially mine.
Yeah. Well, you actually brought us something really interesting without saying it, and that's community. One of the great things I think that WWPD did was kind of create a community of wargamers that existed across the country. And Iron Tom, I know that's a big focus of yours, yeah?
Yeah. Community support is what it's all about. I mean, there's no point doing this for other than just to help to support, improve, expand wargaming. I mean, that's what we all do, and that's what we want to see out there. So our hope here is, you know, right now our operating budget is a big negative, right? We got the website paid for and the podcast hosting paid for. So we're looking at doing sponsors in the future, but what we want to do is turn that back to the community. Whatever we were able to garnish and move forward with, we'd like to support events. And maybe provide special awards for events, you know, like the No Dice, No Glory Sportsmanship Award. It'd be nice if some of the marquee events had an award that was sponsored by us. Also, through our own efforts, not just on what we're doing with the website, the podcast, any sort of campaigns or other ongoing events through those online mediums, but also through actually running tournaments. Troy Hill's already running some stuff out in Los Angeles. I'm running one on the 20th of January here. In Kentucky, in my hometown. So we want to get out there. And then Mitch has been doing it with Cold Wars. He's been doing it with Historicon. He ran the Team Yankees National. So this is the kind of things we want to do. We don't want to just talk about it. We want to be out there actively supporting it physically. And definitely with a larger base of contributors and team members and more diverse geographic setup that we have, we hope we can kind of expand that network beyond the east coast of Virginia and out to all the way out to the west and up to the Canadians and down into the south. So that's kind of where we're at. We want to definitely make sure we're giving back, and the community sees value added, not just in what we provide on the waves, but also physically to enhance their gaming experiences.
Awesome. And it seems like you guys are super enthusiastic about this, which is awesome because it's bringing my enthusiasm back just talking to y'all. Mitch, you were a part of WWPD. You're kind of one of the founding members of this. What is it you think is going to differentiate where you guys are starting off from where WWPD left off?
Well, WWPD gave us a great blueprint on what to do. I think from that, and looking at what other sites are doing and what people like to consume good content, I think that, you know, springboarding off of that, and once again, big thanks to those three guys. I think springboarding off of that to, you know, more podcasts, more public outreach, trying video, trying different things, trying different, social media. I think we're going to take that and advance it, because one of the things we want to do is we want to talk about our passions, but we also, what's the end result here? The end result is I want to host with you guys another Team Yankee Nationals. And we had 44 people last year. I would love to see, it was a blast. I want to see that number grow. I saw people that really were enthused about gaming again And, it was a lot of it was the same people that were doing doubles the day before. Didn't see too much excitement there. But with Team Yankee, I saw excitement. You saw people spotting each other on rules. I think that's what we're going to try to drive. And that's what we're going to kind of go for. And like I said, we have the cast to do it. And I think this will, it will fail or succeed. But with the blueprint we have, I think we're in a good place. So I'm excited about it.
Awesome.
It's a hobby I love, and let's get it going, man.
Yeah.
Right, and it's a hobby a lot of people love, right, Chairborne? And that's kind of one of the big things you're looking to capitalize on with No Dice, No Glory, is kind of bringing all of those people in. And we've talked about it a little bit, but I know you're really focused on kind of what does that look like in terms of how people can come in and out and contribute. What are you thinking?
So the big thing we want to focus on is that we don't really need just one person. And I think that there were definitely portions at WWPD where those guys had a lot of the burden put on them, and they had a lot of stuff to do on their own. And they did bring in more writers, but Tom, Mitch, and I are steering committee, but any of us can be replaced pretty easily when somebody's got to tap out. And from what we've seen in talking to other people, there's plenty of people willing to step up and take that. So, we're happy to get it going. And I'm hoping once we get that cart pushed down the hill, we're going to have other people willing to jump in. And we're excited to do this. I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to show off the painting stuff. I'm excited for people to yell at me for how I don't know the rules. And that's totally fine. I like being a rules lawyer sometimes, and I'm a teacher, so I'm used to being yelled at.
Nice. But this is really about gaming, all about gaming, and that's what we're going to do, historical wargaming. So tell me, guys, what are you going to cover? What is No Dice, No Glory? Of course, Iron Tom, you're a big Flames of War guy. You run Flames of War tournaments. You write Flames of War campaigns and run them. So tell us about what the Flames of War coverage is going to look like.
Well, it's going to be extensive. We've already established a relationship with directly with Battlefront as Mitch had mentioned earlier, with getting advanced stuff for Avanti, so we're able to publish very quickly once information is releasable. So we're already doing that. I said that earlier, that Flames of War, that's what brought us all together. That's what's still kind of the glue. It is a challenging time for Flames of War. No doubt the version 4 transition has been difficult and not without some teething issues. And so I think it's important that we have a positive voice, not to say that we have to say everything's all rosy, because it's not, but we need to be supportive of the community and supportive of trying to keep the game system, some semblance of continuation. So that's kind of the main kind of initial thought, and that's where initially I wanted to almost solely focus, but there's a lot of value to going beyond that. But that's kind of our starting point. It was the starting point for WWPD. It's the starting point for us. You'll see continuous updates and information as it comes from Battlefront on Flames of War. So we hope to be out at the front edge of that and help support events and other things that are going on across the country and so on. So that's kind of our starting point, I think, but that's not the limit. And I'll turn over to Mitch to take it to the next point.
And of course, the next point is, I'm just kidding. No,
Team Yankee. You're talking about Team Yankee.
I know I'm going to talk about Team Yankee. I don't think there's anything pithy, but
it didn't work.
I'll be honest with you. I think Team Yankee's hot. I think it's blowing up. I see tons of guys in local stores playing it. I've seen more people playing Team Yankee than playing Flames of War version 4. Let's also be honest. I'm converted because I did not like the game when it first came out. I didn't think it was my thing. It's modern war, and we have that whole 6mm crowd, which we'll have to do a whole show on that sometime. But I think that is going to be a major focus area for us. I think coming up with, you're talking modern war, we know that Vietnam and Fate of a Nation are going to be redone. I think that's going to be exciting. normally I wouldn't be, I have all the Vietnam books, don't have a model painted for it. But looking at what Battlefront's planning with that, I think that's going to be exciting. I think Team Yankee is a great game. But there's like a ton of other great games out there.
Yeah.
And of course.
There's no zealot like a convert. Right?
Yeah.
And and those aren't going to be the extent of our 20th century gaming. We've already talked about bolt action a few times. Chain of Command's another interesting one to get into. I have a lot of background too with the Blitzkrieg Commander, Command Decision, and other older game sets. And so as new ones emerge, we'll certainly cover those. So don't think that we're going to be primarily limited to those two, Flames of War and Team Yankee. But certainly as those information on those game systems comes forward, we'll be up front and out forward with it to make sure the community's informed of what's going on with it.
Something else you're probably going to see is the battle group stuff, because I've played it a lot. So I saw people posting on the forums about testing it out. It's definitely more of a simulation than a game. Like if it's a spectrum of stuff, right? It sort of simulates more, but it gives you a lot of granularity. That's pretty cool. So they did a really awesome. I think Troy Hill did the right?
Yes.
Yeah, he did the write up with the battle group guys. Yeah. So
And
I think he's going to give us more.
Game?
Oh yeah, I'm psyched for that.
They're coming out with a modern game?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's called North Hack.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I've got to play Battle Group a couple of times, and it's pretty neat. And you're right, it's absolutely more of a simulation game, and it's exciting. But one of the other games out there that a ton of people play is Bolt Action. And I know it's not, once again, we're not a carbon copy here of WWPD, but they did a ton of Bolt Action coverage. Are you guys looking at doing any of that as well?
Yeah, of course. I want to get into Bolt Action. I think that new tank game for Bolt Action, everybody's playing it. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be hot. And let's go back to an On the Road podcast from last year. We sat down with John Russell, who's my new best friend.
He's amazing. I love that guy.
Love that guy. And he's excited about the new stuff that's coming out. I got the rules for Black Powder, but I think Matt Varnish is big into Black Powder.
He is.
Oh, yeah.
He talked about Test of Honor, which I would like to try. I picked up a copy of Blood Red Skies. That's going to come whenever they make the game. I think they have some exciting games coming out.
Blood Red Skies is their what?
Blood Red Skies it's going to start off with Battle of the Britain. And we actually went in Gen Con.
But it's
Remember,
an airplane game,
it out.
Right?
It's an airplane game.
I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for the people listening.
Well, you were there, stupid. No. No, it's an airplane game. And I got to say, I want to try it. I really want to get into it because you and I have tried Wings of Glory.
Yes.
And I've tried Check Your Six.
Yes.
There's no good airplane games out there.
I want Wings of Glory to be really good. I do. All the time. But we're probably going to talk about that too if they ever come out with new stuff for it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Now they're doing it's like they took Martian Front.
I saw that.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
See that? Tripods against triplanes?
Yeah.
And I just don't know. I think that they had a good game. You and I enjoyed playing it. But
yes.
We also enjoyed playing Sails of Glory, and I got a ton of dust on my Sails of Glory stuff.
Me too.
I mean, we got the victory in the USS Constitution.
We did.
And we never played with them.
I know. Mine are still actually on this shelf back here in their cellophane. But we're also going to be talking about not old systems that nobody plays anymore, but a bunch of new stuff too, right?
Oh, of course.
Oh, Mitch, what's the pirate game that you're setting up?
Blood and
Plunder?
Yeah, and Blood and Plunder, it's from Firelock Games.
Yeah.
FirelockGames.com down in Florida. What's interesting about the game is the guys that produce the game look like pirates.
They're actually pirates.
Oh, they are actually pirates. So it's right what you know.
Yeah, it's true to life.
I'm going to try to get you to play it on Friday, but I'm
in. We're doing it. It's going to happen.
28 mil pirate game. I even picked up a sloop, and I got these handkerchiefs for holiday gift, and one of them had a pirate thing on it, and I cut it up, and that's the sail for my sloop.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I was wondering how you got that on there. I saw it when you sent that picture.
Yeah, like my wife got me this pack of like handkerchiefs, and I'm like, the hell am I going to do with a pirate handkerchief?
Yeah,
So I cut it up and I made real cloth sails instead
String
of
it to the yard arms.
Yeah, and that sloop only took me 2 days to paint. It was so easy. It was so much fun to paint.
It's brown.
It is.
Brown and black.
It's brown and black. And they have
stop hating, Brock.
Yeah. They have amazing models that, of course, I can't get the face color right on. But
I've
I like the
offered to
game.
teach you Flesh like 1,000 times.
Yeah, I like Art Deco Flesh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's an exciting game, and I shared some of the rules with with you guys, and it's a fun game. It's a beer and pretzels game.
Yeah, we definitely need more of those.
Right. So let me ask you guys real quick before we hop into the next thing. We've talked a lot about very modern stuff mostly, a little bit about Black Powder, a little bit about Blood and Plunder, but what other war games are you guys looking forward to covering through No Dice, No Glory? Popcorn me.
Dude, I mean, we're gaming junkies. Yeah. Once again, we have to do that drug reference every time we do a show. But there's so many great games out there. You want to try them all. And if you, like us, are interested in a game, you hear guys talking excited about it, I think you're more inclined to play it. But yeah, I mean, I like Sharp Practice. I really want to get into that this year.
I like Sharp Practice.
It is. And I was just thinking
I'm going to try Sharp Practice for sure.
It's worth trying.
But even like when we tried to do this recording before, Chairborne goes about American War of Independence. Oh, I got to go pick up 2 box sets now and paint that stuff up.
Gosh, I need some red ones and some blue ones and some ones in peasant outfits. It's going to be great.
Yeah, or like doing Civ War, U.S. Civil War. I just think there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Yeah.
And, we're definitely going to do an article on game systems that cover an era like Black Powder, like Sharp Practice.
For sure.
I think that's going to be exciting. A lot of guys, look, Ancients are real popular. And I actually have a guy that's heavily into Ancients that would like to write about it. The problem is that he writes like he just graduated 3rd grade, and we all know who that is. Lorderback said that he wants to talk about some of that stuff and write about it because he's heavily into the Ancients.
Yeah, the Art de la Guerre, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a great demo game with him on that. It was a very interesting system. I play mostly Hail Caesar. I haven't played almost over a year, but that Art de la Guerre was very interesting, and they had a pretty good little following at Historicon. I think they had a fairly decent-sized tournament event there.
Like 12 people.
Yeah. I mean, I was impressed by that. I know that sounds huge to, or thinking in terms of hundreds of people at a Flames of War event or something, at least in the past. But I thought that was respectable.
Yeah, it's great. So can I ask you guys something?
The club that I play at had a huge contingent of people doing Hail Caesar, and I sold off all my Romans because I just never got around to painting the 28s. But it was. I mean, we got to play a couple demos with the assembled models I had, and that was fun. But the guy who won the painting prize in our club was a dude who painted up all the naked berserkers.
Yeah, nice.
just buck naked dudes with all the Celtic symbols on them. Yeah, that's an adventure.
We're nothing but tattoos.
Yeah. Well, since I can't paint flesh, I'm not doing that.
No, you should not.
Sean said he'd teach you.
I like 5,000.
You're just being a curmudgeon.
Yeah.
Just being a curmudgeon.
Can I ask you guys something?
Yes.
I love historical video games. I love historical video games. Can we talk about those at some point? Can you let me be a nerd about those at some point?
Yeah, you already talked about Hearts of Iron.
Oh, man. Yeah. Man, love them. Cool. So as you guys can tell, we're going to be talking about a ton of stuff. We're not going to make this just a Flames of War, although we're going to do a ton of Flames of War stuff. It's not just Team Yankee, though we're going to do a ton of Team Yankee stuff. We're going to cover the stuff we're passionate about, because that's what gaming really is. It's a bunch of nerds getting all nerdy and loving the stuff they play. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to try and focus that energy on the stuff we like and not try and keep it all boxed in. And one of the great things about coming up to a new year is thinking about the new things we're going to do that we're going to get super, super nerdy about. So I know there's a ton of stuff I'm excited about coming up, but I want to know from you guys, what are you going to be playing in the new year? What kind of wargaming goals do you have? Chairborne, let's start with you.
All right. Well, my first step is to clear my painting queue. And the first thing I'm going to do is finish up all my flight. No, I swear to God, it's happening. It's happening. I'm going to clear out the rest of my 400 some odd British Airborne dudes. And I'll publish an article about the process of painting them. It's taken me 4 years, but I swear to God, it'll be done.
All 15
I have a bunch of, they're all 15 mil. all that little 3-part camo, those Denizen smocks. I could go back in time and change one thing.
I can sell you my British Airborne.
No, I have to finish myself. It's principle at this point, Mitch.
You sure?
So, yeah, no, I swear to God, it's going to happen. I have to rewrite that article because the WWPD site, I used to host it on one of those third-party sharing sites that decided they don't want to share anymore. So all my pictures got lost. So I'm doing that. American War of Independence. I'm going to paint up my Americans. I'm doing a whole unit based on the Saratoga campaign because I got to go up and do a National Endowment for Humanities grant to do studies for that, which was awesome, up at Ticonderoga. I took pictures of that, so I'll do a post of the tour because it's a cool site if you're a history buff and you're in the New Hampshire / Vermont, New York border area, go. Because it's one of the largest repositories of stuff in the world. It's awesome.
It's amazing. That place is amazing.
Oh, it's so cool. When did you go? Cool. Like what time of the year?
It was fall, and so it was gorgeous out. And I was driving down to Albany. I lived in Vermont at the time. I was driving down to Albany, and it was like, I've got some extra time. I'm going to stop. And I was there for like 6 hours. And it's one of the best Revolutionary War experiences I've had. And by the way, it bums me out because it's hard to get a good Revolutionary War experience, right? I'll just go somewhere and get soaked into it, unless you're in Boston. But otherwise, it's one of the best Rev War places to go to just see and feel what a battlefield would have looked like. It's amazing.
Well, you can hit that one up, and then there's the Saratoga Battlefield, which is just south of it.
Yes.
It's a hike.
Did I say Ticonderoga? I meant Saratoga.
Oh, yeah, so Saratoga, you can do the drive. You drive around, and you can stop at each of the spots, the monuments. Yep. And the fort at Ticonderoga has, so to give you an idea of how insane this is, so first of all, in the fall, there's a corn maze. So, I'm sorry, this is kind of a tangent, but it's so damn cool up there. All right, so...
You're allowed to do that. It's a podcast.
They have a corn maze, they have a museum, but the crazy thing is everybody who works there makes their own clothes,
yes,
builds their own stuff, cooks their own food like they're there. And there are several weekends a year where they do the reenactors, and you can see these reenactments. I laughed so hard because I went up there for close to the 4th of July. So they were doing a reenactment of the American withdrawal from Ticonderoga in 1977.
Awesome.
And it was amazing. They had 400 to 500 American militia and regulars, and it's a beautiful, beautiful day. And then they're like, "Oh no, the British are coming! British are coming!"
Wait, I've heard
and
that
then,
before.
And then 12 dudes, and I'm like, wait a minute, how many British guys are supposed to be? And these 2 little kids were next to me, and they're talking to their mom, and they're like, "Wow, I thought there'd be more British guys." And I'm like, "Yeah, there's supposed to be about 10,000 of them. I guess we're just gonna simulate that today." But
nobody wants to Brits.
Oh man! But I had a blast up there, and
awesome.
If you can go to see that site, go.
Oh, yeah.
Go see
Sweet.
it. Yeah. So other than that, in terms of games, my friend Shane doesn't know this, but we're going to be building a terrain board because he's been bugging me to do one for a while, and he wants a Stalingrad board. And I think I got my techniques down. I don't know.
I think
if you guys have suggestions for me, I'm all for it. I think
you got that locked down.
No, I'm no Sean Morris. I'm not going to carefully create, a horse glider from scratch, but I can build a road.
Sure.
And I can build a field. So I think I can put together a really cool, gigantic, board. I think my goal for this year, if I have a New Year's resolution, would be I want to host a game at Historicon because I've never done that before, and I've only participated in all these kind of awesome games.
Yeah.
But I want to try it. I want to see if I can build a board that people are going to walk past and go, "Ooh, that looks cool."
Awesome.
So
that's me this year. What about the website? If you had a New Year's resolution for No Dice, No Glory, what would it be?
I want to have enough writers and enough content to be able to publish regularly for the first 6 months, and then build from there. So if we have enough authors, content, and stuff, I'm going to be really psyched. And so I think 3 articles a week is our goal. I think we can easily hit that with the people we got. Because I remembered I loved clicking in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the WWPE guys. I wanted to see what they're up to. And there are other places to go, but there's not as much. It's more sporadic because places like Breakthrough Assault, Behind Enemy Lines, there's other places you can pop into, but WWPD always had the most content for me to look at. Mm-hmm. So when I was a new player, I wanted to see it. I'd say one of the other goals I have for the site would be, I want new players because it's such a fun game that it's just all the historicals. They're so much fun. And I teach a military history course, and I give kids extra credit if they hang out after school one day a week and learn how to play a new game. And it can be almost anything.
Or if they hang out in your panel van, right?
Oh Christ, no, don't even.
It's got a big mural of Rush on it. It's super classy.
This is free candy on the side. I still get I get at the most I think I had 8 kids, all in the library playing Flames of War with each other, and I brought in other stuff too. So awesome. Yeah, I'm happy. I want articles on the site that new players can look at and give themselves tutorials, camo guides, assembly guides, things like that. So awesome. I got a lot of stuff to work on this year, but I think I'm really excited to get it going.
Awesome. Mitch,
sir.
New year, new stuff. What are you excited about?
Oh, I just want to make it to 2019, bro.
Dude, I feel you.
Humble ambitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really it's think small and then to be surprised when you achieve. Yep. I like to get some of the voices that are just not heard of in the gaming industry out there. There's a whole big thing of women who play these games, historical miniatures. Love to get one of them to write for the site.
You would be the one to bring that up, by the way.
No, I'm just saying, but there's different aspects. There's different points of view. I would love to get content from game designers and developers.
Yeah.
Because really a lot of their stuff is so close hold, and we're lucky if we get an interview with them. But I mean, just to get them to come on regularly and talk about the process, talk about how they create games. And you and I have interviewed some of those people and asked them about it, but just try to get those voices in here. And different experiences of gamers. I like to speak to a transplant gamer, somebody that really, like me, didn't want to play a certain historical period. And then all of a sudden, bam, it's, hey, this is fun, this is good. And my experience, I want to get a brand new gamer, like a total gaming virgin, and highlight and chronicle their experiences in collecting, painting, the obstacles they face, because we all face them. But they don't seem like big deals now when, I have thousands of miniatures painted.
Right.
And people you don't really have thousands. No, I would say we probably have at least.
Thousands.
It's trying to get in those voices. I think the hardcore junkie gamers, I think we hear a lot from them, and that's what drives a lot. But I think trying to get different voices. And I know you said, of course you'd mention women in gaming, but it's something that you do see more of every once in a while, and I think they have a different experience than some of us do.
I would 100% agree with that.
Yeah, and it's just trying to get those different voices that I think folks would find interesting. I think there's a lot of interesting people that game, and let's be honest, it's when you get to know the gaming community, you meet really interesting people. The other one too is, and Sean and I talked about this, and I know me and the Toms talked about it, is we got a lot of history nuts out there. And to do shows that are focused on history, vice how they're represented in games. Right. Take a force, people argue all the time, well, historically this wasn't, but do the Gurkhas play, and are the Gurkhas represented in Bolt Action, Flames of War? how they fought. Are the rules that different systems use for them, which one's most correct? Just comparing history to that. We have a history teacher online. I mean, all you guys, Sean, you and I today were talking about history. Yep. Going through Barnes and Noble.
Yep.
I read that. A lot of it is building up libraries of, hey, if you're interested, I think I mentioned 5 or 6 books, and somebody else did too, that were great books. If you like Team Yankee, to read these fictional World War III books. I think stuff like that grows, because, if I'm reading a book on, my first army in Flames was Canadians. Why? Because I read all of Mark Zuckel's books about the Canadians in World War II. And that spurred my interest in doing a specific army. If I'm playing a new game, like every time I play a Napoleonic game, I'm reading another book about that period. There's an interrelationship there that I would love to explore, and I would love to hear what other people think. Which one goes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you read about the history and want to play it, or do you play it and then want to read about it and learn more? Because believe it or not, a lot of times with a lot of these games, you're learning.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think those are
my class.
Yeah, and I think those are great aspects that not a lot of people cover, and maybe after we say this, they're going to go and cover it, and that's fine. But I think these are different aspects, different types of articles, other than the review, preview, after action reports. We can write those in our sleep. But like Tom's article on, that you did, your last article, the next last article for WPD, looking at the history Vice. And then Tom, awesome. If you read the article, well, I spoke to a Marine about this. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the outreach that you want to do, because I think there's a lot of guys that are armchair historians that if they were to sit down with one of us, well, one of the friendly of us, I guess that would be Tom Mullane, that I can convert anybody that's history armchair historian. I can convert him into a gamer.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I think that's a voice. So sorry for my long thing here.
You have a small task ahead of you, it sounds like, in the new year.
Yeah. Well,
let me throw it over to Iron Tom. New year, new gaming, new website. What do you want?
For the website, mostly I just want us to be able to provide value, and I'm sure and confident we're going to do that. But specifically, one thing that I'd like to see is, I think I noted earlier, was the video gaming. I learned a lot from watching YouTube ARs. I mean, that's how I learned version 4. I watched people playing it, and I referred back to the books. I mean, it was extremely helpful for me. I know it's really geeky to watch someone on a YouTube channel playing a game, but I got a lot out of it, and I'd like to see that's something that we provide for the community, in addition to the physical support and other stuff. For me personally, 2018 is going to be about 28 millimeter. I've been painting 15 millimeter for so long, so I've got Samurai to paint. I've got Pirates to paint now. I've got and now listen to Tom talking about Saratoga. I'm thinking about, hey, I should pick up the Rebellion supplement for black powder, and it wouldn't be hard to do a brigade of those guys. So definitely it's going to be 28 millimeter, and then for local support. The thing that kind of got me, if I ever was on the radar screen or had any sort of noteworthiness in the gaming community, it was running tournaments. I became known as a guy that ran a lot of tournaments, and some very large tournaments before, outside of nationals for a long time, was like one of the largest ones, and I kind of fallen off of that over the last couple of years. In fact, I really haven't run much in the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm already doing one on the 20th. I got some other ones. And then when we get out to the events like Historicon and other big cons, like Tom Chairborne there mentioned, I want to get in and do some stuff that provides a service for the community, and gets some things out there for other people to do. So those are kind of my big 2018 goals, if you will.
Awesome. Sweet, guys. Well, the thing I'm most excited about is possibly Blood and Plunder at this point, because somebody's got me really hyped on it. So I'm pretty probably going to buy some of it which I promised myself I wouldn't buy any more miniatures this year. I'm just excited for you
guys.
Good
luck finding it.
Yeah, it's called the interwebs. I know you're old, but there's an internet, and it has things. And
it does, and let me tell you something. They did it via Kickstarter, and they did a small release, in my opinion, and it's so hard to find that on the internet. I mean, even if you go to Amazon, if you want to collect a certain faction, you may not be able to find it. But
that's probably better for my wallet.
Yeah. But it won't help anybody that's listening to this. You can get on the Kickstarter up until 1 Jan for the new stuff that's coming out, and the second wave, which is a reprint of all the stuff from the first wave. So a lot of cool stuff with that.
Awesome. And let me recommend Old Glory. They have a pretty expansive 20mm pirate line.
They do.
Not too expensive. You know, you get a bag of 25 come to a bag or something like that. That's actually what all my pirates are. They're all Old Glory guys that are getting out and getting spruced up for the new game.
Awesome, guys. Well, this has been episode 1, guys. Congratulations for getting to the end of it and making it sound amazing.
And can I want to add one thing here?
Yeah.
People have always said, why do you guys do this? So you can get like the previews. It isn't. This podcast, which we said wasn't going to be that long, we do it because, you know, we're addicted to this stuff and we love it.
Yep.
And I think hopefully that comes out. That's the pure reason we do it. If not, we just show up at tournaments and shoot the crap with everybody. But I mean, one of the things that I think you can see from this crew, we love this stuff and we want you to be excited about it.
Yeah. That's absolutely right. That and both Mitch and I love listening to our own voices. We're narcissists on the inside, so it helps to have a forum for that. Any other closing thoughts, team?
I'm really happy to be working with these guys. I'm happy to get the chance to continue something that I feel like WWPD really got going for me. I think I wouldn't be where I was in this hobby if it weren't for that site. And I want new players to have the same experience I did. And if I can do a lot of work to make that happen for somebody, then I feel like my gaming time has been a success.
Tom's an altruist.
Yeah. And I'd like to thank those who've managed to get this far in the podcast. And hopefully we've given a glimpse of better things to come. And that's certainly our intent to deliver on that. But thank you for everybody who was willing to give us a try. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Listeners out there who are listening to our first podcast, we have broken your virgin ears for a No Dice, No Glory podcast number 1. Thank you for listening tonight. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank WWPD, which I know I do on behalf of all the guys here. We are birthed from them, I'll say. I don't think any of us would be here today, and any of us, we'd probably have the love for the game, but we certainly wouldn't have the community we have. We certainly wouldn't be trying to push forward a great legacy if there wasn't a great legacy to put forward. So to Steve, John, and who's that other guy? Oh yeah, Luke. Sorry, I had to poke him a little bit. To Steve, John, and Luke, thank you for everything you've done for the wargaming community for the last 10 years. You've created a body of work that's going to be hard for anybody to replicate, and we're just looking to talk about great wargaming. But thank you guys for being here for us for so long. We also, of course, need to thank Battlefront Warlord Games and anyone else who's demonstrated a frankly ill-conceived willingness to work with us as we move this forward. And in general, again, thank you all for listening to No Dice, No Glory, Episode 1. Have a good night and great gaming.